And I want to say to my listeners in particular that Ethan and I broke all the rules, right? Like things have been, unfolding very quickly. And some might say like, it seems like we're on like a freight train, right? And in a sense we are. And I am 54, he's 52. We've both been through a lot in our lives to get us to and a lot of therapy and a lot of coaching and a lot of processes to get us to where we are in our lives. Mm-hmm. There is a bit of like, when you know the rules well enough, you're allowed to break them.
I actually have a rule about this in the Haystack because we know I love to make rules. Every single time someone would say, well, they've only been together 3 months. How do we know he's a needle? And my response to that is, you can definitely know if someone's a needle after, probably less time than 3 months. Now, could it turn out that, he wasn't her needle 2 years down the road? Maybe. So time doesn't really mean anything within the context of Burned Haystack.
Welcome to the Divorce Survival Guide podcast, where we have open and honest conversations about co-parenting, separation, divorce, and the hardest question of all, should you stay or should you go? I'm Kate Anthony, your divorce survival guide, and I'm here to help you navigate some of the roughest waters you've ever swum in and answer some of your toughest questions. I've been to hell and back. And now it's my mission in life to help you get to the other side of this process with your sanity and your heart intact.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is a plot twist. Today I am being interviewed for the show by Alyssa Dineen of Style My Profile and Jennie Young of Burned Haystack Dating Method. They have both been on the show. You can go back in the last few months and find the episodes. If you did not listen to those episodes, I really want you to. But after I interviewed them, I decided to get back on the apps and try again at finding love. And with their help, I was successful and I met what Jennie calls my needle in the haystack. I am so in love and happy. I wanted to share with you guys how it all played out. Most of you know that I was done dating. I was like really done. I have not been in a relationship in 8 years. I've been divorced for 16. I was fine on my own. I'd really gotten to that place where, my life was fine. I have amazing friends. I have a great business. I have clients that I'm just obsessed with. I felt I was really fulfilled, And, I was lonely in that I am a human being who craves connection and love, but I just got more cats. I figured, well, if I can't have a human, I'll just get more cats. And because I really wasn't willing to settle, I was not going to settle for anything less than something that was truly, truly, truly extraordinary. I wasn't going to settle for something that didn't add value to my life. I've built a really good life. If something wasn't going to add value to it, then there was no, what's the point, right? After I interviewed Alyssa and Jennie for my podcast, I was convinced to try again with their help and using their methods. And y'all, they work. They really, really work. I truly have never been so happy. My life was fine. I was fulfilled. I was content. And with Ethan, I am so fucking happy. I am overjoyed almost every day. We laugh more than I ever knew that I could laugh with another person. We have so much fun together. It's almost like we share a brain. We operate at the same pace. We go to bed at the same time. We wake up at the same time. Inquiring minds might want to know that's like 8:30 to 6:30. Like we're early birds and we love it. We love to do all the same things. And so we just have the best time. I am so deeply grateful to Alyssa and Jennie for their work and bringing me this incredible love story that I literally never thought I would have. I literally never thought I would meet someone. I didn't think it was really out there for me. I used to tell my best friend all the time. He would be like, "Yes, it is, baby. I know it is." And I'd be like, I don't know why you're so sure about that, because maybe it's not. Like, maybe that's just my story. And that's okay. I have to come to terms with that because that felt really true for me. I was wrong. Ray was right. That's usually the way it goes with my best friend. He's always right. And now I have Ethan in my life and I have never been happier. So I wanted to share that with you guys as a sort of hope, a hopeful story, and also as a lesson in how to do these things differently, because the apps are not your friends. And Alyssa and Jennie know how to work the algorithms in our favors. So, all right, that's it. I'm going to shut up and let Alyssa and Jennie take the mic. Jennie and Alyssa, thank you so much for coming onto my podcast to interview me. This is a different one. I'm really excited. I'm a little nervous because now I'm in the hot seat, but I'm really excited for this. When I think it was Alyssa, this was your idea, right? And I was like, ooh, that's juicy.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it that you're open to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. So, all right, guys, take it away.
This is Kate's podcast, but this is Jennie talking right now. And to sort of lead us into this conversation, also I have zero podcast hosting experience, so I'm 100% winging it right now. But not that long ago, Kate, when did we talk? Do you remember? I mean, it was a while before the podcast came out.
Early January or late December. I can't remember, something like that.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, it was a few months. It was at the end of the year, or the beginning of the year, something around there. Yeah.
Okay. So Kate and I met on her podcast to talk about Burned Haystack. And at that point, Kate was like, done with dating, done with men, had it up to here, like many of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I completely understand. And then a few weeks ago, I get an email from Kate with a picture of her and whom we now know and love to be Ethan, this beautiful man. And they're like this gorgeous couple, and they're madly in love, head over heels.
Yeah.
And so we are here to talk about that today. And like, what happened? Alyssa and I both want to know the whole story. So I'm like asking Alyssa now to take the story from here, because this would have been what happened next. Well, maybe actually before that, Kate, at some point you decided to try dating again because you reached out to work with Alyssa to develop your profile. Like, can you talk us through?
Yeah. So what happened was, first I had interviewed Alyssa, and whenever I interview a dating coach, right, I'm always like, it always sort of plants the seed again of like, maybe there are some things I could be doing differently, I guess, that would change this. Because look, I have been perfectly happy on my own and independent. And also I'm human and I want a partner and I want human connection and I want love and all of the things because I'm a human being. But I was also got to the point in my life where I was not willing to settle for less than anything truly extraordinary. And so when Alyssa and I spoke, I was like, oh, it started to get that like little, because what would happen to me over the years, right? So I've been single, fully single without no relationship for over 8 years. In that time, of course, I've dabbled, I've gone on a couple of dates. I've been disgusted by the process and I get out. And this has happened multiple times in 8 years. There was something about my conversation with Alyssa that had me be like, okay, maybe I'll try this again. And then it was Alyssa that was like, you need to talk to Jennie too. And I was like, oh, I definitely need to talk to Jennie. And then it was when we had our conversation that I was like, okay, maybe it's not just my profile because my profile, I've always felt fairly confident about my profile, but I will talk about the issues that I've had. Doing it differently and having a different method was the thing that I thought, okay, actually, if I can control the algorithm, maybe if I get my profile set up properly with Alyssa's like check mark of approval, and then I take Jennie's methods and I work my profile to, work the algorithm to my advantage, maybe who knows? And I was, by the way, perfectly prepared to be disgusted and get off again and just be like, oh, here we go. Same old shit. But that was sort of the shift for me was I'm going to have Alyssa okay my profile, and then I'm going to use Jennie's methods and see what happens.
And some backstory for your listeners. So Alyssa and I have been partnered for a while, and Alyssa's actually
about a year, I think. I think it's been about a year. Yeah.
And as you know, you're the only dating coach I've ever partnered with because I have some grave concerns about kind of, there's a lot of bad actors in the industry, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I was thrilled to meet a dating coach whose advice and methods were already in keeping with Burned Haystack. And because that was something that I'm really not providing to any of my platforms, it made sense. And also we should note, this is not the first time this has happened, right? Like we've had other people put Alyssa's program and Burned Haystack method together and have good results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the other things that I love about Alyssa and knowing how and trusting her with my profile was that Alyssa has followed my work for years and was in my original Facebook group, right? And helped get out of her own relationship. So she understood sort of some of the constraints that I've had in the past with my profile is that, how much do I put up? How much do I say up front about what I do and who I am? Right? Mm-hmm. Like Jennie, I can imagine, right?
It's I'm listening to this closely.
Right?
Just
like,
exactly.
I mean, because people are like, oh, you're a divorce coach. Oh, you help women out of, so you're the reason right? And like,
right.
Which of course is somebody who I would immediately not match with but also, I'm a successful woman who runs her own business and men are intimidated, and I have heard time and again, wow, your profile is amazing, but wow, it's very intimidating. I don't think men will like that too much. And it's like, well, if they don't like it, then they're not for me. But also like, are they just always going to swipe left because what? Right. And that's the way I felt as a 54-year-old woman living in Los Angeles, trying to find love is like, I'm too old. I'm not skinny enough. I don't do yoga on the beach. I'm right. All of these things that seem to be a requirement for dating in Los Angeles. I just felt like I always was not the right match for. So that was one of the things that I really struggled with in the past with my profile was like, how much do I let on? How much do I not let on? Like, I want to be upfront and honest about who I am, but also it can be intimidating, but do I care if it's intimidating? Like,
yeah. And Kate, did you end up including what your business is called? Like Divorce Survival Guide? No. Okay. Just curious.
What I said was, I think in my headline, for work, I put author and New York Times recommended podcast host. And I was like, that just sort of says enough to weed out the ones who are going to be intimidated. So, yeah. And then when people say, like, what do you do? I'm very upfront. I say, I'm a divorce coach and I help women out of toxic and abusive relationships. That's the truth.
Yeah. But I think, you really need to go to a point where you embrace the fact that whoever isn't going to accept or like what you're doing or not understand it is not the person for you.
Right.
And I think that so many women, and Jennie, this is what your group is so good for too. It's like so many women come to me and say, well, should I say that? Should I say that? I don't want people to think, why? You
Why
want them
not?
to know who you are. Yeah.
Right.
So why would you want someone who doesn't understand you or what you do or, what you
That's
stand
right.
for?
Yeah. And but it was something that I grappled with a lot. Like, like, is Jennie going to put in her profile, I dissect rhetorical patterns in dating profiles?
Nope. Absolutely not.
Like,
Right.
So, I mean, that's the extreme version, right? But
Right.
Wait, actually, Jennie, I'm curious, are you currently dating, online dating?
No, I
Okay.
believe it or not, I took myself off the dating apps the day after the HuffPost article came out in August of 24
mm,
because I just couldn't, like, that was when the group really started exploding, and I thought I can't have a full-time job and run this feminist rhetoric project and to date. And something had to go. So of course it was dating. But I was already, I mean, I didn't have much of a public profile at that point, but I had enough that a couple men, when they, Googled me or whatever, got really angry and kind of aggressive. And because they,
Wow.
they thought they were being
Wow.
used as research.
Block to
Yeah.
burn.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right,
Block to burn.
exactly. But
Yeah.
so no, I've been off the apps for a long time. And
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever go back on.
Yeah.
Or if I
Yeah.
can, right? Like right now I'm very much in a relationship with burnt haystack.
You are, and you're in a
Yeah.
really good relationship with it. I have to say, I've never seen such amazing boundaries and a healthy use of a Facebook group. I texted Jennie. I was like, I feel like it needs to be a study done about how you run that group, because if I
Yeah.
had known that I could run a group like that, I probably wouldn't have closed mine. So I think it's
Right.
really
Well,
amazing.
that was actually originally why I wanted to introduce you
That's
to,
right. Yeah.
because I was like,
Right.
oh, Jennie's running this group. She could probably learn some, get some advice from you, Kate. But it sounds like
No
you're like,
Well, no,
way. I
we
doing
was
it right.
shared back and forth. Yeah.
Oh my God. No,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, damn. Someone needs to write like a thesis on how Jennie runs this group. It's amazing.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, you really are
Yeah.
so good at the boundaries. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank
Yep.
you. I told Kate that in my heart, I'm like a 1950s school marm, and that's how I run the group.
It's true. That's right.
Well, I guess that's
You may not speak out
clearly
of
working.
turn.
Right.
None of
Yeah,
you may speak out of turn.
exactly. Right. I will shut this down.
Right. I'm always seeing posts and I'm like, oh, nope, comments are closed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the
I
time I
know.
get there, they're all closed.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
as much about Facebook as it is about, members.
Well, and actually, so many of your rules have to do with Facebook being, the way they are. I think
Yeah,
that's
it's too
important.
susceptible to shut down.
Yeah, yeah,
And scam, like we're constantly getting scam attacks that take people to another site and their financial
Totally.
scams.
Oh,
yeah.
totally. So back to how I got here, how we got here, right? One of the things was that, so I set up my profile, right? And then I sent it to Alyssa for approval. Her response was no notes. So I was like,
which
I got it.
I'm not kidding you, Kate. That really never happens. I'm not just like, whatever, tooting your horn here. It's true. It really never happens. I was shocked at how good yours was. I was like, which is why, yeah, anyway, you really needed to get back out there with the other tools. It's really like your profile was great. It really represented you. I don't know, Jennie, did you see her profile?
I have not seen it. Are you
I will
sharing?
send you. I have the video of it that I sent to Alyssa that I will send to you.
Yeah,
And I will post it. We'll post it in the show notes.
because your prompts were so good too. It was like all of it. It was like everything was very authentically her. Really it was unique to you, and it was interesting and said so much about you. And same with your photos were like a perfect curation of like all the different sides of you.
Yeah,
So
they are. Yeah.
yeah.
Are you going to
It was
post?
so
Are you
good.
going to share the photos too?
Yeah, I'll share the whole
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's a
know.
video.
I know people are going to want to see that.
Yeah, it's just a video
Yeah.
scroll of like, I just did a screen share video that I scroll. But the one note that Alyssa had for me, which was really smart, and actually you sent me the blog post about it. So
Mhm.
smart, was about the difference between preferences and deal breakers.
Deal
And to
breakers. Yeah.
keep your deal breakers off. And it was so counterintuitive. And I think it was the thing that it started me. It gave the opening for the algo, which is exactly what you say in this blog post that we will also post in the show notes about why it is important to keep your deal breakers very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
Can you sort of share a little bit more
And
about
it
that?
is so counterintuitive. And I can see Jennie is very, are you doubtful right now? Because I can see you're like, wait, what?
Well, no, I mean, I know why I would support that, but I'm curious.
Well, the reason that we do so our research is that basically what we found out, and I kept saying to Catherine, who works with me, she kept saying, no, we have to do this blog post. And I'm like, people are really not going to understand this, like why this is happening, like why does this work? Because they're going to be like, no, I don't want a smoker. I don't want someone who does drugs. I don't want. I'm like, yeah. So we have to really explain it, because what it is that if you're, say, the perfect example is like you're both non-smokers. So if you select you don't want a smoker and you're a non-smoker, but the other person doesn't, even though they are a non-smoker and they don't want a smoker, then you won't be shown each other because of that deal breaker. Does that make sense? So like, it's just like if that person didn't even realize it was there to select and they just ignored it or just didn't feel like it, then they won't show up in your feed.
If I said non-smoker was a deal breaker and the person who I could potentially be matched with didn't click non-smoker, if they just put that they don't care, then we can't match.
Is that app dependent though? Because I feel like when I was on the apps, and I think I just gave you bad information. I think I said I took myself off in August of 24. It was actually August of 23. I felt like my deal breakers were violated constantly with the apps, but maybe that's changed.
Was that with Hinge? This was with Hinge specifically. Yeah.
I mean, I mostly used Hinge and Bumble. I could be wrong, but I mean, they definitely violated deal breakers about geography.
Well, so the geography deal breaker was the one that Alyssa was like, take that off too, because also the geography deal for me, I was like, I live in LA. Like if you're 20 miles away, you're an hour away, you know, but we took the geography deal breaker off. And what it did was when I was burning the haystack, which we'll get to in a second, it started to force the algorithm because I put it as a preference, right? I set it, but I set it as a preference. Okay. But when I was burning the haystack, it was forcing the algorithm to go further and further out. And like, yeah, my boyfriend lives 2 hours away. But as Alyssa wrote in her newsletter, like 2 hours for like what I consider to be the love of my life, like whatever.
Yeah, right. That's overcomable.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We're not happy about it, but you know, we're making it work because, you know, we're not happy about it, not because of the distance or the travel. We're not happy about it because we hate being so far away from each other.
I see this happen a lot with my clients who meet someone who's further away. And sure, it sucks in the beginning and you're doing a long distance relationship and you're doing a lot of FaceTime and that kind of thing. Eventually one of you is going to move or you both move somewhere different or something. Exactly. And I see it happen a lot.
And when my son was younger, that could not have been an option. And now that my son is 19 and he's like, we're getting to a place where like, I can conceive of a future down where he lives or, you know, which is the plan. But we're going to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to get a little bit more into the burning of the haystack and how Jennie's methods, like now I have Alyssa's approval and my profile all teed up, and then the implementation of Jennie's methods and how they worked. So we'll be right back. Are you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure about your next step in the divorce process? You don't have to do this alone, my love. If you're listening to this podcast, you already know that I am a pioneer in the divorce coaching industry, and that for over a decade, I've helped hundreds of women navigate some of the toughest decisions of their lives. Until recently, I only worked with clients in a long-term private capacity. But I know that not everyone needs or has the ability to commit to long-term coaching. Sometimes you just need clear, focused strategies to move forward. That's why I now offer targeted 3-session strategy packages designed to give you the clarity, direction, and confidence you need without the long-term commitment. Whether you're deciding whether to stay or go, uncovering and healing from abuse, or dealing with a high-conflict divorce, I will help you create a clear roadmap, develop a plan to work with your attorney, saving you time and money, and help you navigate difficult conversations with ease. All coaching is done on Zoom, so no matter where you are, we can work together. No consultation call is needed. Just fill out a quick questionnaire and I'll get you all set up. Head on over to kateanthony.com/strategy and take the first step toward a stronger, more empowered future today. That's kateanthony.com/strategy. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay, guys, I have to tell you about something that has seriously made my life easier. Wild Pastures. So I've been ordering from them for the last few months, and I love having high quality pasture-raised meat right in my freezer, ready to go whenever I need it. No last-minute grocery runs, no sketchy labels, just clean, delicious meat I can trust. If you're anything like me, short on time, but still want to cook real, healthy meals, this is a game changer. Their 100% grass-fed beef, pasture-raised chicken and pork, and wild-caught seafood are all delivered straight to your door, so you always have something fresh to defrost and cook without a ton of hassle. And the best part? It's affordable. They cut out the middleman so that you get top-quality meat at the lowest prices. So if you want to eat better without making life harder, check out Wild Pastures. Go to kateanthony.com/wildpastures for $20 off your first subscription. Okay, guys, we are back. Before the break, we were talking about how we set my profile up. And now I want to talk a little bit about how the burning of the haystack and Jennie's methods, which I'm getting so much more into now that I'm in your group, which somehow I don't know how I was not in before, but whatever. I'm just watching and these patterns, what's interesting is that in your work, in my work, right, we're on the receiving end of communication, like from a broad spectrum of people. But when you are in it yourself, you don't have the knowledge of how this is a pattern. Like this is actually some patterns. And I see the same thing with, abusers, that the rhetorical patterns of communication, when I want to talk to you about this more, Jennie, of abusers, they all follow the same script. It's all the same. But when you're in the relationship and you're on the receiving end of it, you think it's you think it's them, you think it's your communication. But when you sit in my seat, you're like, no, this is an entire pattern that occurs because they're all the same. I'm just, I love being in your group and seeing and watching your videos. And even if you're not in Jennie's group, you follow her on TikTok or Instagram because her reels are amazing.
Yeah, they're so good. And what I'm constantly surprised when I see your posts where I see literally it's like a profile I saw. Do you know what I mean? It's like the patterns are so typical that I'm like, I remember seeing something like that. I remember going out with somebody who had a profile like that, all the things that and now in hindsight, I'm like, oh my God, like, how did I not see it?
Well, but
and I think that's how so many women feel.
Yeah. I mean, nobody does in a vacuum, right? I mean, I had access to all the knowledge I have now when I first got on the dating apps, but still I was like, am I I must be the problem here. It wasn't until I really flipped into academic lens that I started to get it. So that is the power of the community.
Yes. And I think working with so many clients on this, I hear that so much. Like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Right. Look at these men that are showing up in my, my feed, or look at this guy. What am I doing? It's horrible that we blame ourselves for that. Right. And for me, I blamed that. And then I I said this to you before, Jennie, I chalked it up to as like, well, I guess this is just modern dating. This is just how it
me
is.
too. Yep.
I
Initially.
got to tolerate this behavior because this is how it is. Like,
Right.
it's unbelievable what we, just, yeah.
And by the way, it is how it is. It is. And
Yeah.
there's wonderful, recognition of when you start to recognize the patterns and you implement blocking to burn and you really so I want to talk about how if it's okay, how I was blocking to burn and how Ethan came up. And it was literally, you guys, it was days. I mean, Jennie, this is your story too. I was like, you said that when you're like, and then I started doing this and it was like 4 or 5 days and I met this person and I was like, really? Like so that was the thing, is that when I interviewed Jennie, I thought, okay, it might be possible. It might be possible that I don't have to live the rest of my life alone, with a little bit of like, okay, we'll see. I started blocking. And so just to recap, if you haven't listened to my episode with Jennie or don't follow the Burned Haystack, you should know this. Block to burn means because when you just swipe left on somebody, if you're on a swiping app, which they all are now, when you swipe left, it tells the algorithm that you don't necessarily like that person, but somehow they go back into the queue.
They'll still come up. Yeah.
Still come back up. And you're like, and the false thinking on this, which I think we all fall into, and I think we talked about this, Jennie, is like, we're like, is it the universe telling me that this is actually my match? And like, I missed it. No, it's the fucking algorithm just put them back in the queue because they were like, I don't know, maybe she won't notice.
Right. Yeah. Am I his partner in crime? Yeah.
Am I his partner in crime? No.
Oh my God.
I don't like to laugh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't live my life to the fullest. Goodbye.
Right. Yeah. And I hate live music.
Yeah.
And I'm full of drama.
Yeah.
The first tenet of the Burned Haystack method is to block to burn, right? Which is where instead of swiping left, if you don't want to communicate with this person, if you don't want to date them, you block them so that the algorithm cannot put them back in your feed. And so then you start forcing the algorithm to look further and wider. And this is where, if you have all these deal breakers in your parameter, if this has not happened to you, you're lucky. If this has happened to you, my guess is that your parameters are set, your preferences are deal breakers. If you've ever gotten to a place where you finish the app, which has happened to me a number of times in the past, because I had all these deal breakers. And so they'd be like, sorry, there's no one else for you. Right?
Yeah, that's happened to me before too. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And I'm like, I finished Hinge? Are you kidding?
I won.
I finished Bumble. What do I get? Right? What? So by allowing the algorithm to push further out, this man came into my feed, and his first photo is this beautiful picture. The first thing that I notice is that it says you're using Ethan uses he, him, his pronouns, and I thought, okay, this is a man who actually cares about pronouns. And the first photo is he's just like sitting in a camper van in hot pink shorts and a white t-shirt with tattoos coming out of his shirt sleeves and these stunning eyes, just stunning eyes. And I went, oh, oh, okay.
I noticed his eyes too right away.
Yeah, I did too. You can't notice.
I know.
Yeah.
Who does
They're
it?
like ice blue. Yeah.
Yeah. His eyes are stunning. And then it says in his profile that program manager at Wellness. And I was like, that's interesting. He has a BA in psychology. He's from New York, which I am. And so I was like, okay. He lists that he's liberal. He's not apolitical, whatever the fuck that means these days. He's liberal. And then he says he's figuring out his dating goals. But what he says is, I don't do hookups, one night stands. I date with intention. I have no idea what the future has in store, but I am open. I would have maybe preferred I'm looking for a long-term relationship, but he doesn't do hookups or one night stands and he dates with intention. And that got me. I was like, oh,
Yeah. I'm fine with that language.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Phew. I know. I was like, I'm going to read this profile, and Jenny's going to be like,
Block him. Block to
No,
burn.
because it feels transparent. Like what he's saying feels real. And they're genuinely, like, men have a lot of complaints about their experiences with women, and most of them are bullshit. The one that seems to be valid, because I've heard it from a lot of men whom I know and respect, is that there are a lot of women out there who are very high pressure about immediately getting into, like a long-term marriage kind of proposal. And I can see, like, I mean, that would set me off too. So I can kind of understand what he was doing there was like allowing for everything, but in a way that like sounds reasonable and like full of integrity.
Yes. It's his intentionality that really,
yes.
The sentence, "I date with intention," was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then the next thing was green flags I looked for. And he said, kind-hearted, self-aware, respectful of boundaries, and into self-care. And I was like, oh,
good. He didn't say generosity and fun-loving.
No. It was actually about me, not about what I provide for him. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But usually
Yeah, exactly. That's what you're saying. Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Generosity, right? Like I'm looking for and you give, right? I'm looking for someone who's right. And respectful of boundaries. I was like, oh, so he has boundaries.
Yeah.
He has boundaries and he wants someone to respect them. Fuck yeah. Because me too.
Right.
And then the last thing that got me was, let's be sure we're on the same page about, was the prompt that he chose. And he wrote, our interests, hobbies, and global/world views. And then the quote, the only thing necessary for triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And then he wrote pro-choice, pride and trans flags. So pride and trans rights, support DEI, universal healthcare, etc. And then no MAGA Republicans or religious.
So he's actually liberal.
Yes. Yeah.
He's actually liberal. And like front and center on his profile, like the most important thing is all of these things. And I was like, yes, actually, you're actually liberal. Like you are very clear in your beliefs that align with mine. So the prompt is, let's make sure we're on the same page. And I was like, fuck yeah, we're on the same page. And look at those eyes and tattoos. And there were a couple of other things in his profile that I was like, rawr. And in his pictures. And so I immediately was, and the problem is that we got off the apps and we forgot to screenshot our first communications, and we're both so mad about it.
Oh, I know. Same. I know. We went back later and we were like, maybe we can still log in and find them,
Yeah, and they're gone. And so I don't remember what I said, except probably like, absolutely, sign me up. Yes, please. Something
you remember who matched with who first?
I wrote to him first.
Okay.
And then he matched with me.
Okay.
And then wrote, something back. And it was just an immediate, like, it was really immediate. And it was really just like immediate in terms of not like, oh my God, but immediate in terms of the cadence and the connection and the ease of the flow and the back and forth and the funny and the like silly and whatever, just totally great, especially like New Yorkers and where did you go to school and where'd you grow up and what, But the thing that was most important for me was that he completely centered my safety and comfort in every communication. He asked questions. He was curious about me. He never did the thing where he answered a question and then didn't continue the conversation with another question or something. But when he was, yes, right. I mean, like the easiest A, but yet they all fail.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
but the way that he centered my experience and my safety was something I'd never experienced or seen before. So he would do things like, "Hey, just want to let you know I'm going into, or whatever. I'm gonna go into a workout, so I'll be offline for an hour, but I'll be back." So
That's
he wouldn't
really
just disappear.
strong green flag.
Major green flag,
Yeah, major.
and then so we spent like a day or two on the app, and then the next day he said, "Hey," in the morning he said, "Hey, just want to let you know that I'm going into work. Oh, and by the way, when I got into like, oh, what do you do?" He runs the wellness program for a senior center.
Oh,
So
nice.
he like teaches them like, chair yoga and brain fit and drumming and like, and he's a Pilates instructor, classical Pilates instructor and fitness. Like he's been in fitness for a number of years. He's also had like a bunch of other careers, but like that's what he does. And I was like, oh, come on.
No. No.
Come on. What?
Yeah.
So he said, I'm going into work. This one morning, he said, I'm going into work and they block the app where I work. So I won't be able to check in on the app until after work. I get off at 2:30. And I wrote back and I was like, okay, well, if you want to text me, you can. And so then I gave him my phone number. He didn't offer his number. He didn't ask for my number. He was very he just made it so that I felt always comfortable. It's the first experience I have had with a man, maybe in my life, where I did not for 1 minute feel like prey. Not for a minute. And so then I gave him my number. She wasn't able to check it until later, but he texted me immediately at 2:30 and was like, "Hey." And so then we had this, great texting cadence and whatever. And then I knew, I was like, I knew I had all the good feelings about this. I was like, this is crazy. I've never felt like this comfortable and not like I'm being sort of preyed upon and all of the things. Like there's something so respectful and kind and genuine about this person. He was like not asking me on a date we were getting into the end of the week. And I was like, is he going to ask me on a date this weekend? Because next weekend I am completely booked and we live 2 hours apart. And I had like all of this stuff going on. So I finally said to him, he's like, "Hey, do you want to he said, can we do a FaceTime on Friday?" And I was like, "Yes." Or he said this weekend at some point. And I was like, "Totally." And I said, except here's what I'm thinking. I said, "So I would love to do a FaceTime with you. And if it goes well, I would also love to have a date with you because this is me. I'm very direct." And I said, "But next weekend I'm completely booked. So can we do like a FaceTime on Friday? And if it goes well, maybe like get together on Sunday?"
Yeah.
And he was like, and apparently like inside, he was like, damn, a woman who like knows what she wants. And he asked for what she wants and is like totally upfront and direct in her communication. Holy shit. And he was like, "I love that idea." And I was like, cool.
Good.
So yeah. And so we had our FaceTime on that night. And before the FaceTime, he said, because in his pictures, he has a beard. And before the FaceTime, he said, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I really didn't think I was going to have any dates this weekend. And so I shaved. And so I don't want you to be put off that I don't look exactly like my pictures." And I was like, okay, it's a beard. It's not like
that shows a sensitivity.
It does.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
The things that men lie about in their profiles that are like, that actually matter, I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah. You shaved. You're fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm curious, on the FaceTime call, like, were you like right away, "Oh my God," or was it not until you met in person? I'm just curious if it was.
The FaceTime lasted an hour and a half.
Okay.
So there was so much connection and ease and fun and playfulness and, intellectual compatibility. Oh, and by the way, when we were first messaging and he was like, "Well, what do you do?" And I was like, this is what I do. I work with women, help them get out of, and he just said, "Whoa, that is incredibly important work. I am like, he said, thank you for sharing that with me or something. Like, that's really, he said, I love that. That just, that says so much about you or something. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. You know, like, yes, it does. And also like, thank you for like actually acknowledging and noticing that. And it didn't feel like a line, you know?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think like you were saying, I feel like a lot of men would be threatened by that for whatever reason. And that means they are not the right person for so many reasons. Now
That's right. Well, I
I'm
feel
saying
like a
that.
lot of men are threatened by it because they don't want me to see that in them.
Exactly.
It's like,
That's
if it's
what,
not there,
exactly.
there's no threat.
Because there's
Exactly.
there wouldn't be
Right.
threatened if there was any, they wouldn't be threatened if they weren't
Mhm.
afraid of you, finding them out or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So anyway, we had this, hour and a half long, incredible, fun FaceTime. And then we were like, okay, let's get together on Sunday. Like, duh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to get into like all the, like we could be here for hours on this, but suffice it to say, it was the best first date I've ever had. But the thing about it was that, again, like he was driving up. He was driving an hour and a half. Like he drove further. He was like 5 minutes late and he's texting me. He's like, I'm never late. I'm so sorry. I had to stop to go to the bathroom because I drank too much water before I left the house. And he was really upset about it. And I was like, it's fine. I'm at this beautiful restaurant and like, in the sunshine in Long Beach. Like, I am fine. But he was so concerned about my experience. I'm sorry to leave you sitting in a restaurant by yourself and like all of that. And I was like, who are you?
Yeah.
And it was genuine. It was genuine. It was
Yeah.
not like, and then it wasn't overly like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It wasn't overly. It was very respectful.
It was appropriate.
It was appropriate.
It's what you would do for your friends.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We, had an amazing lunch. We shared all of our food. We walked on the beach. We were, just laughing and goofy. He was we had a great time. And then we were sitting on a bench and had a more serious conversation, which was very pivotal. This conversation, in which he sort of revealed some things about himself that were very intimate, but also very important to anyone who, might become involved with him. And I was so struck by his willingness to be vulnerable, how much courage that took, and the fact that he trusted me enough at this point to sort of reveal himself in that way. And I was like, okay, I am so in. I'm so in. And then at that point, I looked at him and I was like, are you going to kiss me? Are you going to kiss me now? And he was like, can I? And I was like, yes. And then, at that point he said to me, he's like, this is the best first date ever. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And so kind of from that moment, we got home that night. And it was the next day he said, that night he said, I just want to let you know. He said, I'm not asking anything of you, but I want to let you know that I'm deleting my profile. I told you I date with intention. I don't know where this is going, but I want to be intentional. And he's like, I'm not asking anything of you. He said, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to write to the people that I was communicating with tonight. And I'm going to wait 24 hours so that I don't just disappear because I don't want to ghost anybody. What I want to do is communicate with them that I've met someone that I want to pursue intentionally. And I want to give it 24 hours so they can actually read the messages and not feel like they got ghosted. And I was like, yeah.
Oh.
That's ideal. Like that is the, like no notes, chef's kiss.
Yes.
Perfect handling of that scenario. Like he didn't miss a beat.
Yeah. Jennie approves.
Well, and I know I've heard people say, oh, you should never do that after the first date. I disagree. He's not putting any pressure on you. What he was saying is, he said, I don't know where this is going to go, but what he's saying is, we're this age at this point in life. I see something promising here and I would like to focus on it and give it my best. Like there's nothing wrong with that. That's not pressury. It wasn't delusional. It wasn't short-sighted. I wish more people would handle good connections exactly like that.
Yeah.
I think there'd be more successful partnerships.
Well, and what it did from my perspective as the woman was there was no game. There was no question. I had no questions from the start, from the very first day that we matched. I have not questioned where he stands at all.
Yeah.
He has been so intentional. And this is what I want for everybody. And this is sort of part of why we're doing this.
Yeah.
This man has been intentional from start to finish. He would send me photographs like in the mornings, like just like silly, goofy photos from like his past. And one of the first things he said was, by the way, I want you to know that I took these are selfies that I did on tripod. I'm not sending you pictures that someone else took of me. And I was like, thank you for saying that. Like I would never, you know what I mean? Like that is so intentional to say that, right? I have never questioned for a second.
Well, and there's a meme I post frequently in the Facebook group, and it was written by a very young woman, but I think there's so much wisdom in this. And she just wrote, if he likes you, you'll know. If he doesn't, you'll be confused. And you were never confused.
Yeah.
Never.
I was going to say this too, Jennie, well, both of you, but in your group, I see this a lot with your success stories. And I know with my client success stories too. That is the common theme too, is that everything is clear. There's no games. There's no, what is he thinking or what is she thinking? It's just all very clear.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, and now we, he just centers me in his life now. Now it's always we, it's like, making sure that it, integrating with friends and, he bought a camper last weekend and it's our trailer, like, and yeah. And, we're making plans for the future and it's exciting and there's literally no drama and there's literally no confusion, and this idea of like no drama, it's like, why is there drama? Because we're confused, because we don't know what's going on, because you're triggering us. Maybe I have anxious attachment because you're you're making me anxious.
Yeah.
I am very securely attached to Ethan and he is very securely attached to me because we center each other in each other's lives and communication.
Yeah.
There's no confusion. There's no anxiety.
Yeah.
So important. So important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I want to say to my listeners in particular, Ethan and I broke all the rules, right? Like things have been unfolding very quickly and some might say like, it seems like we're on like a freight train, right? And in a sense we are. And I am 54, he's 52. We've both been through a lot in our lives to get us to and a lot of therapy and a lot of coaching and a lot of processes to get us to where we are in our lives. Mm-hmm. There is a bit of like, when you know the rules well enough, you're allowed to break them.
Yeah. I want to follow up a point with that when you're done, Kate.
No, I want you to take it. Please take it.
Okay. So I actually have a rule about this in the Haystack because we know I love to make rules. Mm-hmm. So Burn Haystack is fairly new, right? It's a new method. So a lot of the like success stories, these are very new relationships. And when I first started posting them, before I like really cracked down on this, every single time someone would say, well, they've only been together 3 months. How do we know he's a needle? And my response to that is, you can definitely know if someone's a needle after, probably less time than 3 months. Now, could it turn out that, he wasn't her needle 2 years down the road? Maybe. But you know what? People walk away from 30-year marriages every single day, and people stay married to people they hate for their entire lives. So time doesn't really mean anything.
That's right.
Within the context of Burned Haystack. We're trying to identify solid, dateable people, and you can actually do that fairly quickly, especially at a certain age and with the life experience you have, the professional expertise you have. So I now have a rule that as soon as somebody says, but it's only been like that, like out of the group for not having it, it's throwing negativity.
Yeah.
We're going to celebrate every needle, regardless. I met a needle and he didn't turn out to be my needle. But you know what? I ran into him at the coffee shop earlier today, and we sat down and had a cup of coffee and talked about our kids, right? He's still going to be somebody's needle out there, just not mine.
Person.
And that's
right.
Yeah.
He's a good person.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, this day and age, like we need a method like this to find the good people.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do. And because
Yeah.
that's the goal. And then,
Yeah.
you know,
And there's no guarantees with anything. I mean, like you said,
No.
there's 30-year
Right.
marriages that dissolve and, you know, it's like, you just never know what's going to happen. But I think that
Right.
that's what I always come back to too, is because it was similar with my partner who I met online. It took many dates before it finally clicked. Like it was 4 dates actually. But then once it did click, it was like, oh, this is it. I mean,
Yes,
we knew,
yeah.
we both knew, and
Yeah.
it was like very comfortable. And we're just like you, Kate, you and Ethan. It was like everything kind of moved very fast, but it didn't feel crazy. It didn't feel
And you've
weird.
been together a long time now, Alyssa,
No,
right?
yeah, we've been together 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you were right.
Yeah,
Like,
so we were right. And I mean, we could have been wrong, and we could have broken up after year
Right.
2, after year 3, last
Right.
year. I mean, you never
Yeah,
know.
like that
But
doesn't
anyway,
mean that you're wrong, right? Like that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're
Right.
wrong. Right?
Exactly.
It's like the measure of success is not longevity necessarily.
Nope.
It's like, was this a successful relationship? Like, were we
Yes.
happy? I consider, you know, a guy that I dated for a year, 9 years ago or something like that, to have been a very successful relationship because, you know, we're still friends. He's a lovely human. He wasn't my human. It was the wrong time for, you know, a variety of things, but also he just wasn't my guy. Like that's
Right.
successful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And also that
Absolutely.
didn't hurt you, right? Like
That's
what we're
right.
trying
Yes.
to do is prevent women from ending up in these like really permanently damaging relationships that, you know, like, I mean, I've been in, right? So yeah, a relationship that ends, like the ending is sad, but there's a difference between being sad that something didn't work out and being traumatized and hurt, right?
Yes.
Like Burned Haystack is very specifically, I mean, you know, mostly we're looking for success in matches, but a lot of it is also protective. We
Yep.
want to protect women
Mhm.
against
Right.
these
Mhm.
more like insidious,
Toxicity.
chaotic,
Yeah.
destructive
Right.
experiences. Yeah.
Exactly.
Agreed. Yeah.
So that's my story.
We're so excited for
I know. I love your story.
you. I do too.
Thank you guys so much. I mean, literally from the bottom of my heart, I cannot thank you both enough because I really was resigned to spending the rest of my life alone. And I would have been fine, but there would have been that part of me that was always, you know, just a little bit sad.
Well, and I just want to point out too that I feel like it's so important that we're doing this interview for many reasons, but most importantly, I think that what you felt, I mean, it mirrors what so many other women feel
That's right.
right now. And I mean, I experience it all the time with clients that come to me. And it's so good for people to see that you had given up pretty much. I mean, you really had resigned yourself to not meeting anyone. And I hear that over and over again.
Mhm.
And you jumped back in and with a new mindset and a new outlook on it, and new method, of
And
course.
tools, right? That was it. Really.
Yeah, and tools. And yeah, so I just feel like it's so encouraging for people to hear about this.
Thank
Truly.
I think I have to do the like feminist rah 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 here for a second, but I think what's happened is the dating app situation has been around long enough now, and it's you know, toxic to like critical mass of people, that what we're seeing now is a bunch of women like the three of us who are like, oh no, like it's not going to go down this way.
That's
And
right.
we are taking charge of it.
We're taking it back. It's so
And
true.
we're taking it back. And we're seeing this happen with women in all different aspects of life. Like, I don't, you know, for a long time, men could go online and like order up Viagra and have it delivered the next day, whereas women are waiting like 6 months to get an appointment to go on hormone replacement, right? To be, or to like ease physical pain. Well, now there's like this whole new group of like startup companies of women doctors who are like, no, we're ready. We're here. Like, let's cut out this like toxic medical industrial complex and we will take care of you. So we are like, the three of us and so many other women are part of this like really exciting period in feminist history. And I'm really grateful to know both of you. I feel like you're my old friends. And I'm glad we're here talking about this.
Same.
Same. All right, you guys, I just want to say thank you so much. Like literally, I mean, not just for coming on the show again, but literally, thank you. You changed my life. I'm so grateful. I'm in awe every single day that I get to feel what I feel and have the experience.
Cry.
Yeah, literally. Like I actually did not know. Ethan says the same thing. It was like, oh, this is this is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
oh my God.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to Ethan, and I'm so grateful to the two of you. And, more will be revealed and all of the things. But yeah, thank you for letting me share this and share it on my show with
Thank
you
you
guys.
for sharing it.
Oh,
How
thank
uplifting,
you.
right?
So
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope we did you right on your own podcast.
You guys are awesome. I love you both.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Divorce Survival Guide podcast. If you like what you hear, head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in and leave me a review. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at the Divorce Survival Guide. I'll see you next time, and until then, remember, you, my love, deserve to be happy.